This is Kissing Frogs, a podcast about relationships and how they change us. I'm your host, Dr. Molly Burritz, a clinical psychologist specializing in relationships and women's mental health. With my guests, we'll share personal, heartfelt stories about love and loss, from the first spark to the messy middle and whatever comes next. So let's get into today's episode. Guys, this week, we are turning the tables because you are about to see my interview of the queen of questions, Danielle Robay. Okay, so those of you that know Danielle know that she is a TV host, a journalist. She is the host of not one, but two podcasts, her own podcast, Question Everything. And then she's the host and co-executive producer of Bookmarked, which is the podcast associated with Reese Witherspoon's book club. She has done more than 8,000 hours of interviews. And if that is not enough, she was also recently named as a Gloria Steinem Endowed Fellow in Media, Culture, and Feminist Studies. There are some people who, when you meet them, you just fall in love. And that's how I feel about Danielle. This episode is a little bit different because she's the first guest to come in and talk about a failed relationship that happened with a friend, a platonic friendship. And we do not talk about this enough. We do not talk about how much friendship breakups pain us. And this conversation, if you've ever gone through something like this, if you've ever felt betrayed by a friend, this is going to be the medicine you need. This is going to be so healing for you. And this interview might change the way you think about forgiveness. Ladies and gents, Danielle Robay. Danielle Robay, so excited to have you here today on Kissing Frogs.
I'm so excited to be here. First of all, I love therapy. I know we're not going to do a whole session right now, but
might feel a little like that.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be in your presence.
Thank you so much for being here. The queen of questions
Yes.
is sitting in the interviewee seat.
I know, we're flip-flopping.
Yeah, that's really exciting.
It's I've gotten more used to being in this seat over the last year, and I think I used to be a terrible interviewee. I hope you'll have to grade me at the end. I hope I'm getting better.
Yeah, you have achieved so much, especially at like such a young age.
So
and
kind of you to
it
say.
Makes complete sense to me that people want to interview you, and now you're in the chair. You're in the hot seat.
It's getting warmer. I feel it.
So I'm so excited that you're here because I haven't yet had a guest come on and talk about a difficult friendship. Friendship is such an interesting dynamic.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes even more interesting than a romantic relationship because there's so much gray area in friendship.
Ooh, what do you mean?
Well, friendships can take so many forms.
Okay.
There's never the expectation of like monogamy, right? Everybody knows you can have lots of different friends.
Yes.
And it's expected that different friends will fulfill different needs in different aspects of your life and your personality.
Yeah.
You know, whereas with a romantic relationship, for people who are monogamous, which is the majority of people, we sort of expect everything to come from that relationship. And so it kind of gets narrow in a way.
Yeah.
But with friendship, it can take on so many different forms and so many different dynamics.
Yeah.
So I think there's just lots of room for exploration.
Yeah, let's dig in. I'm excited.
Okay, so why don't you start by telling me about the phase of your life you were in and what was going on with you when you met this friend?
Ooh, what a great first question. Okay, so I went to overnight camp. I was in 5th grade. And I went to a camp in Wisconsin in the North Woods with a bunch of trees and bats in our walls at the cabins. And I was so excited and terrified. I didn't know anybody. My parents dropped me off on this bus. I was 10 years old and we drove 8 hours, got dropped off at this camp. And it was probably the best time of my life. I loved overnight camp. And I always gravitated towards people that were older than me my whole life.
Okay.
As like when my mom was with her friends at the park, I didn't want to go play with my friends. I would sit on her foot and just listen to the women in their 30s telling stories.
So you. Yes, it
I
all is so clear.
And so I got to camp and I loved the girls my age in my cabin, but I also thought the older girls were just the coolest people I'd ever seen.
Okay.
And I had one friend. Should we make up a name? Because I don't want her to get heat online.
Yeah, whatever you want.
Okay, so we'll call her Jessica.
Perfect.
It's not her name. So I met Jessica and she was fabulous. She was the most fun. She was the most vibrant. She was so comfortable with her body and who she was and such a leader at camp.
How much older?
She was 5 years older than me.
Okay. Significant age difference.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she will tell the story. She always jokes. She says she has a funny, like, a good sense of self, and she was always funny about it. So she would like have a birthday party and write, and on her t-shirt it said like, "I love Jessica." She would wear it herself, but it was a joke.
Yeah.
And so she'll tell the story that, she was the most sunshiny, most popular girl at camp. And then I walked in and I really gave her a run for her money.
As 5 years younger than her.
Yes, but not in the same sense. Just that like, she'll say that I was nicer than her.
Okay.
And one of the cool things about camp is I do think it sort of transcends age. You're just all together.
Totally.
And fast forward, we always stayed in touch online. And then I kind of followed her trajectory unknowingly. She went to the University of Wisconsin-Madison. So did I.
Okay.
And then she moved to LA and so did I.
Okay.
Yeah.
I always am fascinated by camp. And how, camp always happens when we're in middle childhood and adolescence.
Right.
It's such a dynamic time.
Mm-hmm.
And the relationships that are formed at camp, I think they're so special because they're outside the confines of our everyday regular life.
Oh, yes.
You can show up to camp and you have a chance to be whoever you want to be.
I've never thought about it that way. You're so right. This was also pre-cell phones. So there's no phones. There was no distraction. It was an all-girls camp.
Yeah.
And so we could be just like our ugliest, funniest, most real selves.
Yes, your most authentic selves.
Yeah.
And she sounds really magnetic.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So magnetic.
Yeah.
And hilarious.
Yeah. And then she saw something in you, right? It sounds like she saw almost like a piece of herself in you, that you were younger than her, but she connected with you because you had that same magnetism, that sort of sunshine that you brought.
Thank you. That's so nice. I think she and I have a different magnetism, but I think you're right. Maybe she did see that. And we have a love of life. And maybe that's what it is.
Okay.
I wanted to get the most out of every day at camp, and I think she was the same.
Okay. And so tell me how the friendship transition from being a camp friendship to being in real life. You went to the same school as her, but you were years apart. So I'm imagining you didn't overlap.
We didn't.
Okay.
When I moved to LA, I reached out to her and she like welcomed me in with open arms. And there were a few other girls that we had gone to camp with. So we would do a monthly dinner. Okay. And I also was very socially lazy when I moved to LA. I don't know if lazy is the right word, but I was working so many hours and I really had my eye on the prize. And so I put all my energy into that. Yeah. And she was and is like a very social, vibrant person and puts a lot of time into her friendships. And so I could kind of plug into her life.
Okay, convenient.
And it was wonderful.
And did you still find that you could be your own unique identity, sort of being attached to her world?
Absolutely.
Okay. So there was always room for you.
Yeah.
Okay. So I know that you selected to talk about this relationship because, on this pod, we talk about relationships where there's been an obstacle, a challenge, a difficulty, sometimes even a failure.
Yes.
Walk me through when things started becoming challenging for you and Jessica.
I moved in with this boyfriend at the time, and in about 4 months, we decided to break up, and I was in the process of moving out.
Okay.
And because I had been working for so many hours for so many years, I had friends, great friends from high school, great friends from college. Those were my people, but they didn't live in LA really.
Right.
So this friend was really the only person I had in LA at that time.
And she was your way into the social structure here in LA.
For sure. To be fair, I didn't really care about the social structure. It didn't feel like
It wasn't your priority at the time.
Yeah. And she knew that I had told her everything, that we had broken up. We were still living together. I had a month to find my own place, etc. Without going into the details of that rupture with the breakup,
Sure.
it was probably one of the most traumatic experiences of my life. It was complicated and messy, and definitely hit a childhood wound. And I was probably the most sad I had ever been.
Okay. So you're in a really vulnerable place.
Very vulnerable. The most vulnerable I've ever been. When I look back, I can say I was definitely in acute depression. And I, because of what was going on with my family dynamics, couldn't really reach out to my parents at the time. And that's when I started feeling the isolation of like my lack of social structure, because I was sad and I was like, where's my support system?
Yeah.
Right. So one night he had broken up with me on a beach in Cabo, and we then spent New Year's and a week together with my family and whatever.
This is a whole other episode.
It's a whole other episode. So we're on our way back to the apartment we lived in, and I said, I can tell that you are in a different place. While we are still living together, can we just please both respect the time that we spent? And like, we did have a lot of good time together. Please don't like go and be with anybody and date. Like, let me just move out first. And he was like, absolutely.
A reasonable request.
I thought so.
Yeah.
But I also I didn't have any money. So it's not like I could go like just move out or live in a hotel or an Airbnb.
Right.
Like, I was stuck.
Yeah.
And 3 days later, he was out all night partying, wouldn't answer my phone calls. And that friend is always up early. And so around, I would say 6 a.m., I hadn't slept, and I drove to her apartment, which was like 8 blocks away. And I was like, you know what? She'll be up, and I'll just like crawl in bed with her.
Yeah.
And
You just needed support.
I just needed to not, I didn't want to be home when he was back either. And I was just so bummed.
Yeah.
And so I knock on the door and nobody answers. And I'd been calling her too. And obviously it was early. I didn't expect her to pick up. And she has 2 window slats aside from her door. And I looked through the window, and the 2 of them were on the couch together. And, there was stuff on the table. It was clear that they had been together all night, and both not answering my calls. And so I walked in, and I experienced a different kind of heartbreak, because I had been heartbroken over a love relationship before, but I'd never felt betrayed by a friend in that way. And so unexpectedly, because I think sometimes people have certain friends and you're like, well, I love them, but they have these certain proclivities. There was like no way in my mind that this could have happened. Yeah. We had so much like familial love and loyalty, and she was close with my family and I knew her family. It just felt like, whoa. And so I asked him to leave, and she starts hysterically crying.
Can we pause?
Yeah.
Because I want to know, how did you get in the apartment? Did they open up and let you in?
The door was open, so I just opened
right
it.
In.
Yeah, I walked right in. Yeah.
Wow. What did you notice when they saw you? What kind of reaction did you get when they saw you?
She was so sad. She started crying right away. She was embarrassed and sad. And I don't know what influence he was under. He was not sober for sure.
Sure.
And so he asked me to drive him home. And I was like, you can find your own way home,
Yeah. It's called Uber.
Yeah, totally. I was like, you can walk home. Yeah.
Wow. The nerve.
Yeah.
I
That's a
mean,
whole nother episode.
yeah. Well, we'll have to have you back.
Yeah.
We already know that you need to be a repeat guest.
So yeah, then when she started crying, I started feeling overwhelmed, and I realized and said to her, like, I can't handle your emotions right now. I'm so upset.
Fair enough.
I gotta go. Let's talk about this later. And I left, and there was no yelling. There was no, and so I didn't have anywhere to go. I spent the whole day at a gym that I belonged to till like 8 p.m. And then I was like, wow, I have to go sleep somewhere. So I like went back to where I was living with this guy and was on the couch and just tried to like make it through the next few days.
Oh, that's so horrible.
It was a bummer.
Horrible.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the experience of betrayal,
Yeah.
right? In the work that I do, it's something that I work with pretty regularly. I work with a lot of couples in therapy who've experienced infidelity.
Yeah.
And what I've learned about betrayal is that it really can change your entire view, not only of the person, not only of yourself, but of the world.
Yes.
You know, when you experience a betrayal, everything that you thought to be true becomes shifted, right?
Yeah.
And everything can take on a totally different color. Tell me about your experience of betrayal, because in a moment, this person went from being someone who you never could have imagined doing anything like this,
Yeah.
to now you have this whole new view of them.
That's a really, really great point. My first instinct, and even to this day, was kind of what was my role in this?
Wow. Your first instinct was to think about your role in this betrayal.
Yeah. I tell me if you think this is healthy or not, but I believe that relationships are co-creation. And so there's always an element of who I was and how I showed up in this friendship that played a role in the dynamics. Her decisions were her decisions.
Sure.
But I think it opened my eyes to the fact that I was not being an active friend. And that was not just with her necessarily. That was probably across the board in a lot of friendships. And so in some ways it woke me up, because now I can sit here with you and say, like, I'm a really good friend and I'm a proactive friend. And I couldn't have said that before.
Yeah.
Did I deserve that? I don't know. Probably not.
Definitely not.
Definitely not. But my dad said something to me, and before we started, I told you I'm very close with my dad.
Yeah.
I feel like I hit the lottery because I am his daughter.
Wow.
And I really mean that.
Wow.
And he is so, as a person, not just as my father, as a person, is so wise. Like I love listening to his views and how he lives and how he sees the world. And he said that his father always said to him, if you cannot have forgiveness with friendships, you are going to be a very lonely person, because people are disappointing sometimes. They will disappoint you. And it doesn't mean they are a bad person. It just is part of friendship sometimes. And yeah, we
That's
can kind
a lot of wisdom
go back,
from your dad. Yes. Okay. Let's take it back. Let's go step by step here, because you're offering so much that I don't want the listener to miss at all.
Yeah.
As someone who works every day with people who have experienced betrayal,
Yes.
what I can tell you is that it is extremely unusual for someone's first reaction to be thinking about their own role in the betrayal.
Interesting.
Extremely uncommon. So I want to lay the groundwork and give people some terms that they can hang on to.
Yeah.
What we call the different parties involved in a betrayal. When we're talking about an infidelity, we talk about the participating partner. So that would be your boyfriend.
Okay.
We talk about the injured partner. So that would be you.
Yep.
And we talk about either the affair partner or the outside partner. Okay. So that would be Jessica.
Okay.
All right. And it's just extremely uncommon for the injured partner to be thinking about their role in an affair or a betrayal.
That's interesting.
However, part of therapy that I do with every couple that experiences this is understanding what are the unique contributions each of the three people made to this
Yes.
happening. We often think about the injured partner as the victim. And yes, they have experienced a trauma, they've experienced a betrayal, but every person plays a role in any kind of relationship rupture.
Yes.
Even if your role is simply to just look the other direction,
Yes.
or to not foster the relationship, or to take a relationship for granted.
Yeah.
And I usually come to that point in therapy many, many weeks or months in. And so it tells me a lot about you as a person, your capacity for self-reflection,
Thank you.
that you were thinking about that from the beginning.
I don't know that I had the language for it at the time because I was really hurt.
Yeah.
But I guess I expected more from her. At that point, I didn't really expect more from him. And so the hurt was really between she and I.
Yes.
And I loved her. I didn't want to let go of the relationship. And I felt as if she didn't mean it. I didn't get the sense that it was something that would happen again. I didn't think, people sometimes have patterns.
Yeah.
I actually felt like this was out of her character.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to find the space to determine how I felt about it and how I wanted to move forward.
Okay. What did you determine over the course of time or conversation, if anything,
Yeah.
about why she did this and what the circumstances of this were? Was it a one-time thing? Was it a pattern? What did you learn about this?
I wish that I had asked more questions.
Okay.
I was in such shock. And I also had a lot going on in my life outside of this relationship
Okay.
that I don't think I inquired enough.
Okay.
My initial conversation with her is she came to me and said, "Can we speak?" And she came to my apartment and we sat together and
So you were willing to hear her out, which is also not to be taken for granted.
I really wanted to hear her out.
Okay. Because many people would not have that capacity and just would need to shut that person out and have it be a closed door that was never opened again.
I think my job I'm a journalist by trade.
Yes.
And so I'm obsessed with the why.
Yes.
And I also think that because of my training, like I hold a lot of competing truths at the same time.
Yes.
And so that extends to my relationships.
Yes.
And I wanted to understand her why, because this was so out of character in my mind.
Yes.
Like, what prompted this?
You wanted to understand the why.
Yeah.
And you're a person that's capable of holding multiple perspectives.
Yeah.
And so that's how you went into this conversation,
I
to
did.
find out the why and to understand all the dynamics.
Yes.
Okay.
And I think also, now that I'm reflecting, like, she's 5 years older than me.
Yeah.
This felt like a sister more than a friend.
Yes.
So with familial ties, you're sort of like, you're in, I think you're willing to have hard conversations more so.
Yeah. And do you have siblings?
I have a younger brother, but I never had a sister.
Okay.
And I loved her. Yeah.
So you wanted to hear her out.
Yeah.
What did you come to learn?
So she gave me an apology, and I felt as if it was a real apology. She came to me saying not only was she sorry, but that it would never happen again moving forward. And she sort of explained the night that they had. She said that they had been, she was out and he was out with his friends, and they had run into each other. And so they sort of had like an after party at her house, in her like backyard area. And then what I saw was that like the remnants that everybody else had left, and they were on the couch and allegedly had been talking about me and the relationship. And and that nothing physical ever happened. Now, I'll be honest with you, I don't believe that part.
Okay.
I do think something happened. I also don't care.
Okay.
That was like not something like the deceit of both of them not picking up my phone calls.
Yes.
Was like, to me, that was the betrayal.
Yeah.
And it was the crux of it all.
Yeah.
Like, whose side are you on? You
right.
know?
The
So
physical
everything
relationship
else,
wasn't the linchpin.
everything else was,
Yeah.
yeah.
It was enough to cause the rupture
Yeah.
with or without the physical relationship.
Oh, yeah, because, you know, I think there's sort of an unspoken code you have between girlfriends. And so, like, I can see my friend from college, if I see her ex-boyfriend from 15 years ago cross the street in downtown LA, I'm like, hey, by the way, I saw Justin.
Yeah,
like,
he looked terrible.
He looked horrible. He's balding, you know, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, like the fact that you knew I was in so much pain, not only should you have texted me to say like, hey, I just ran into him.
Yeah.
But yeah. So.
Yeah. There were ulterior motives there. And that was the betrayal.
And to me, it felt like there were multiple moments throughout that night that you decided
That's right.
to not act as my friend or sister.
That's right. There were multiple points where she could have chosen differently.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So she told you that nothing physical had happened.
Yes.
And anything else that you were able to glean from what she told you?
No. What actually made this more complicated is that I heard her out. We hugged. I was like, I accept your apology. I don't know what I want to do. Like, I don't know how. I need some time to sit with this.
Yes.
And she was understanding. She's a person who had gone to therapy for years. So I think she was really good with her words and like, I think also a real apology matters.
Yeah.
And I think she gave me one. What happened after was tough because he, I guess, was texting her. And every time he would text her, she would then tell me. And I was triggered every time. And finally, my therapist actually really helped and jumped in because I don't think I was putting up enough boundaries. I didn't at that time have words or the knowledge of how to.
Yes.
And she was like, you need to say to her, either you need to block him or this friendship is truly over because I can't handle the communication.
Right.
And so I did say that to her and she did block him.
Yeah. So can we go back just a little bit because I want to talk to you about the apology?
Yeah.
Because you said a couple times and you have conviction about it that it was a real apology.
Oh yeah, that's a good call out.
What does that mean to you? What is a real apology? What feels like a good apology to you?
She did not make an excuse for what she did. She laid out, like she shared her truth of that night.
Yeah.
Didn't leave out details from what I understand. And didn't make an excuse. She said, I'm so sorry. And also this will never happen again.
Yeah. Okay. So some important elements that showed up in her apology that really checked the boxes for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then you come to a point with some guidance from your therapist about setting a boundary.
Yeah.
And I want to talk a little bit about the difference between a boundary and an ultimatum, right? Because what I've found is that an ultimatum is about trying to control someone else's behavior.
Okay.
Right? If you don't block him on your phone, then I'm not going to be your friend anymore. Right?
Yeah.
That's an ultimatum.
Right.
A boundary is about explaining to someone what you will do under what conditions.
Right. And I think mine was maybe a mix of both.
Okay. Yeah.
It was a boundary for me. I probably communicated it as an ultimatum
Sure.
at that time.
Yeah.
But the boundary was really, I can't handle the influx of communication because he is so triggering to me.
Yes.
And so if you want to continue being his friend, then go be his friend.
Yeah.
But if you want to continue being my friend and trying to repair this, I need you to block him.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear what you're saying. It's like a little bit of both. Like
Yeah.
a boundary is like, I don't want to have any part of this. I don't want to hear anything about him. And I also don't want to have friends that are in contact with him, especially you as a friend, given what's happened.
Yes.
So, you know, if you continue to communicate with him, then I'm going to have to step away from this friendship.
Well, also, the fact that he was texting her made me feel as if there was actually more deceit than I knew, because I was like, why is he continually texting you if nothing physical happened?
Right. What is the basis of this relationship?
Yeah.
Why is someone texting you who you just kind of had a drunken after party with one night?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And so how did she respond to this?
She blocked him on Instagram, on the phone. And that actually was the beginning of what I think was a repair.
Okay. Okay. So we see that this is headed in the direction of repair.
Yeah.
And I talk about this a lot with my couples. A lot of people have very strict interpretations about what needs to happen after a betrayal. And
Say more. That's interesting.
Well, for a lot of people, it is a complete deal breaker. A lot of people are of the belief that if there has been a betrayal or if there has been infidelity in a relationship, that the relationship is categorically over. You know, once a cheater, always a cheater. Or that your relationship will never be the same. You may be able to patch things together, but you'll never really be able to trust in that person again. That's not my take on things as someone who's been working with affair couples for 18 years. But it's often comes as a surprise to people when I say that repair is possible after a major betrayal.
I am an imperfect person. I have done hurtful things to people unknowingly. We say the wrong thing, or we don't meet somebody where they're at emotionally. We can't see them, and that's hurtful. So yeah, I just felt like I wasn't willing to throw the friendship away.
Wow. This person really filled the role for you of the sister that you never had.
Yeah, and I have multiple sisters, so I don't know that there was one role.
Yeah.
But she added so much to my life.
Yeah.
And I invested in hers.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So you were kind of bringing together a few different perspectives that I'm hearing.
Yeah.
One is that I am an imperfect person.
Yeah.
And so I can show grace. I can show forgiveness.
Yes.
And the other perspective I'm hearing is that you were able to see your role in how you could have showed up differently in this relationship that maybe made it vulnerable to something like this happening. Can you speak to that a little more? I want to make sure I'm understanding this.
Yeah. I don't know that that last part resonates with me because I don't feel like, and this is maybe a weird way of looking at it, but if I put myself in another person's shoes, even if I don't feel like the friendship is fulfilling me, I don't go to betrayal.
Yeah.
So that was a choice she made.
Yeah.
So I don't know that the relationship was vulnerable to it.
Okay.
Maybe am I misunderstanding what you're saying?
No, I think you're getting it. You're clarifying for me that this part of it is almost under the umbrella of I'm an imperfect person.
Yeah.
That I didn't show up to this relationship 100% the way that I could have.
Yes.
And she also did not.
And there's a weird element here that I think people have weaknesses.
Okay.
I can tell you what mine are. I think everybody has them. And when I looked at who she was as a person, I thought, this is a weakness of hers. And it doesn't take away from all her other strengths.
Okay.
Maybe I just have to put this relationship in a box.
What kind of weakness was this tied to? What's the element of weakness that you think allowed her to make this choice?
I think envy.
Let's explore that a little bit,
Sure.
because that's not the word I was expecting you to say.
What word were you feeling?
I didn't know, but I didn't predict envy. Tell me about Jessica and envy.
I think that my friend Jessica was in a transition phase. I think she was wanting to be partnered. She was looking for a husband for the first time. And I think that made her more vulnerable than she probably had ever felt before, because all of a sudden there was this want.
Yeah.
And I think it made her try on this feeling of like, what would it feel like to have this?
I see. So you're pointing out that Jessica had an unmet need.
Yes, really well said.
Yeah. And I think that is a component of every affair, every infidelity
That's interesting.
is about two people having unmet needs
Yeah.
and finding a way to meet that need, sometimes temporarily, in another person and in a way that is outside their character because of the strength and the pull of the need, which can be really, really compelling
Yeah. Yeah.
and make people act in ways that they otherwise wouldn't.
Yes. And that is how I felt. I did not feel like this was who she was.
Yeah. That this was tied to an unmet need for her, a pull or a desire for partnership
Yes.
that was missing in her life,
Yes.
that she sort of plugged the hole with a person that did not belong to her.
To be fair, he did not belong to me either at that point. We had been broken up.
That's right.
Yeah.
But I still hold firm that he did not and could not ever belong to her
Yes.
because he was someone that you had loved.
Yeah. And you know what? I actually think I would have been like, had different feelings, had like, I felt like they really had a love or they should have been together.
Sure. Yeah.
But they were not, you know.
Yeah.
It was just a betrayal.
Yeah, that's right. And so when you say envy,
Yeah.
it really is about, envy is the experience of wanting something that someone else has and wanting it to be
Yes.
yours. And so the envy, it sounds like, you tell
Yeah.
me if I'm getting it right, was really about you had had this relationship with him that for her pointed the arrow in the direction of something that she wanted for herself.
That's my best guess. I've actually never asked her about it. And it'd be interesting at this point to revisit.
Yeah.
But that is my best instinct.
Okay. I think it is such a strength of yours how compassionate you are in how you see other people, and is, of course, such a huge part of how you show up in your professional life.
Thanks.
And it's really an essential element of what you do, to understand and explore people, to be willing to evaluate and understand multiple perspectives and have compassion for people and grace for people in the ways that we fail.
I just think we are more than one thing. Yeah. And I did have compassion for her. I will say what got sort of complicated, and I never told her this,
Okay.
but she had had a boyfriend in the past who had texted me inappropriately. And I really shut it down. And so that even post her apology would come up for me sometimes.
Yeah.
Because I felt as if she did not give me what I was willing to give her, which was loyalty.
Yeah.
But I have since let that go.
I really want to talk with you about this experience because it sounds like, well, clearly you did a lot of work around forgiveness
Yeah, it took years for me to be able to say I truly forgave her.
Okay.
We maintained a friendship. It was a different type of friendship.
Yeah, that's right. You said you put her in a different category.
Yes.
Can you help me understand that?
Yes. I put her in the immediate, I put her in a box.
Okay.
So I said, I'm not willing to let go of this friendship. I don't know what it could be. I don't know where we go from here. So let's just go slow.
Okay.
And we didn't spend time together for a while. I would say like 6 months. We would text a little bit, but that was it. And then I was ready to see her. And I think we went on a walk and we had a nice time. And I didn't share anything about myself. And then it went from there.
Okay. One thing I want the listener to hear from what you're saying, which I think is such wisdom here, is that you and she were able to tolerate the ambiguity
Yes.
of a friendship that was not clearly defined.
My other friends who like I told my college friends, because we were in different groups.
Yeah.
They were like, what the hell are you doing?
Okay, let's talk about that, because I bet you have some listeners who are feeling the same way.
I get it.
Okay.
I once told this story to a friendship expert on my podcast.
Okay.
And it went viral on TikTok.
I believe it.
And the comments were wild.
Yeah.
I would say like 90% of people were like saying that I didn't have boundaries, I didn't have self-esteem. They were like saying like, you need to look in the mirror and do some work here.
Wow. What do you think about that now? That's been some time. What do you think about that perspective?
I think part of my work in therapy has been boundaries. And so it made me like reevaluate, did I put up proper boundaries? Was it a self-esteem issue, or was it really just two people fighting for friendship?
Yeah.
And I ultimately came to the answer that it was two people fighting for friendship.
Yeah. So you heard the criticism.
Yeah.
You allowed yourself to look in the mirror to get the comments reflected to you.
Well, I think the experience shifted our dynamic for sure, because I had always looked up to her. Right. I was just like in admiration and awe. She experienced everything before me. And this sort of leveled that, because I no longer felt that admiration. Right. And I think that it actually brought us to what I can now say is a better, very equal place. And I do have admiration for her in other elements of her personality, you know.
But you're not putting her on a pedestal anymore.
No, I'm not putting her on a pedestal. And I also think she is not putting me in like a little sister box.
Right.
And she, you know, you can take advantage of your little sister. You can treat her any which way, you know. So
that's right.
I think it leveled the playing field. I can tell you that she was pregnant with her first child last year, and I threw her a baby shower.
Wow.
And everyone thought I was insane. So they were like, what are you doing? Do you have Stockholm syndrome? And no, I wanted to show up for her because I was a different person in every friendship. I was a proactive friend. And I just thought, wow, like she's having a baby. And I've known her since she was a baby. And I want her to feel celebrated and loved and feel family here.
Yeah.
And so I threw her a baby shower. It was a lot of work.
Yeah.
And
Such an act of love.
Yeah. It was. But I felt like that was the mark of my forgiveness. Because like it wasn't all at once. We didn't just go on a walk and then I was like, I'm good.
Right.
It honestly took 5 years.
Okay.
And I can tell you it also wasn't a straight line. I would feel like I was like 80% good. And then something would happen and I'd be like, oh, I'm back. I only forgive her 50%.
Yes. And that is very common among recovery from a betrayal.
Interesting.
Is that you think, that much like grief, you can start to feel better and you can start to feel good again, but something may happen that will trigger a memory, a feeling, and make you feel almost like it's back to square one.
And I couldn't talk to her for a few days, and I wouldn't just like reply to texts or whatever. But I think the baby shower was a marker of my own forgiveness.
Are there any boundaries that you still have up with her, ways in which you can feel fearful or afraid? Or are there ways that a lack of trust ever shows up in your relationship with her?
Yes. I think in my other friendships or sister relationships, I speak so freely. I say all the things. I don't think about what I'm saying. I'm speaking from my heart, whether it's good, bad, ugly, And I think when I'm on the phone with her, I'm thinking about what I'm saying.
Oh, so you're a little bit measured.
Yeah.
You have a little bit of a self-awareness.
Yeah.
And self-monitoring.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you think of an example of something that you might monitor about yourself in her presence? What sort of thing makes you feel like that's too vulnerable or you don't want to reveal?
I think it's my feelings around things. So it's actually not just with like romantic, I'm like telling her about a date I went on or something.
Yeah.
And if I were to psychoanalyze, I think it's probably if I share my feelings, then she holds power over me.
Well, your emotional safety in the relationship was compromised.
Yes.
Pretty dramatically.
Yeah.
And that takes a long time to return, and sometimes maybe never exactly what it looked like before.
Yeah.
I talk with couples when they come in, and when there's been a betrayal, I often say, the marriage that you had before this happened is over.
Yes.
And it's important to grieve the loss of that relationship. But you have a decision ahead of you that you're probably not ready to make yet.
Yes.
But at some point, the decision is going to be, do you want to start a new marriage? And that's what I hear happening with this friendship is you made a decision. Do I want to start a new relationship? And the answer was yes.
Yes.
And so you have a new relationship with Jessica, the terms of which are different because of the betrayal that happened. And some of those terms mark your evolution and your growth. The dynamic has changed. She no longer treats you like a little sister, and you no longer idealize her.
Yeah.
But there are also terms of the relationship that are different that can feel maybe a little bit limiting, where your emotional safety is not what it used to be in the relationship. And so you find yourself holding back.
Yes, and not always, know, like I sometimes do share, like it is very inconsistent.
Yeah.
Every time somebody disappoints me and hurts me, I say thank you, because now I have the experience to know that something amazing will come out of it. They shift your direction. And so I can truly think of Jessica and smile, and my heart feels good because I say thank you to her. When I was at my absolute lowest point when that happened for a multitude of reasons. I felt just the worst I had ever felt. And I had no, the word possibility didn't even I had nothing to hold on to.
You were really at a rock bottom.
Rock bottom. And so for a friend to betray me at that point felt even worse.
Yes.
And now when I see people in pain and I can tell that they are at a rock bottom or the rock bottom, I know how to show up. And I say thank you to her for that. I would not have known how had someone not hurt me that deeply. And I'm not trying to be Pollyanna about it. I just, it's something I feel proud of now about my personality,
Yes. This podcast is about ultimately how we grow and evolve out of loss. And this is such a beautiful development you're sharing, that you know how to show up for people when they are in pain. And you've changed as a friend too, it sounds like.
Hugely.
Now, in part, does that have to do with just a different chapter of your life and not having to crawl and scrape your way? I mean, we all go through those periods of our life where if you really have a dream and if you really have a goal, this idea that you can have it all is just not true.
Yes.
You know, you have to choose what to prioritize and focus on.
Yeah.
Walk us through how this happened for you, that you make or have space in your life now for friendship.
I so appreciate you mentioning that, because that is like, that gives me a little bit of an exhale. Like, it's like not all my fault, you know? It is a co-creation. Yeah, I think that rock bottom spurred a lot of action for me. One, the relationship that guy that she was with, that I found them together. That relationship rock bottom was like, who was I that I called this person in and was in this relationship with this type of person? And then I started thinking about, who do I want to be as a friend because of her?
Yeah.
And I started thinking about, who do I want to be as a person, as a daughter, as a sister, as like just every single bucket.
Across the board.
And I started doing things about it. So I signed up for a philanthropy group, and I was like, I'm going to make new friends with people who have a similar interest in something to me. Even if I come away with one friend, I'm good.
Yeah.
I did. I came away with a few friends and really nice ties to the community. I started doing therapy, and the interesting thing there is, I thought I was doing it to like heal this wound, which it did help me heal and learn like from the romantic wound. But actually, I think it spurred a ton of professional growth, because I actually believe that we can only grow professionally at the capacity of our personal growth. And so I think now, like when I feel stuck professionally, instead of being like, what do? I actually go invest in my personal growth.
I love this. Everyone needs to listen to this right now, because this nugget of wisdom that you're sharing is that we can only evolve professionally as far as our personal lives and personal development will hold. And so if you find yourself in a rut professionally, we can try to claw our way out of it or just work so hard to get somewhere else. But you're actually saying, no, turn your attention inward and toward yourself. What are the unmet needs? Where are the areas of growth that I need to work on in me so that I can hold capacity for more professional success?
I think the professional growth allows you to have, or the personal growth allows you to have professional clarity.
Clarity. You're talking about how from this rock bottom, actually so much evolution in your life happened from that place.
Yeah.
The rock bottom was the launching pad.
Oh, absolutely. It was the hardest 2 years of my life. I sat on a couch and cried every single day for 2 years.
And so people who are listening, and I know there's so many of them who are in that place of their life, the last thing you want to hear is like, this is all for your greater good. This is going to help you at some point. You don't want to hear it in that moment.
No.
But if you can open yourself up to the possibility, to even a sliver, if there's even a sliver of a part of you that can hear that this is happening for you, maybe it can give someone the hope to just hang in there. Like, keep going.
I can go back there right away, and like tears will well up in my eyes, because you don't ever forget feeling that sad, you know? And so I think it's the only thing that helped me at that time was reading other women's stories. I'd always been a reader. And hearing about other women who had been through pain, and it didn't have to be my exact pain, right? It was just like getting over the rock bottom, getting over the hump. That gave me hope.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, maybe this isn't my new normal. Maybe, because you feel like, am I ever, like, is this just who I am now? Like, I'm never going to be happy again. Yeah. I've lost my light. I've lost my excitement. Like, I was just like, maybe that was for my first quarter of my life. Maybe that's over. Yeah. And their stories made me feel like okay, there's something on the other side, you know?
Could you have ever guessed then that you were going to be the woman telling the story?
No, definitely not. Um, I didn't know how to make sense of it then.
Yeah.
It all felt like so brutal, and I couldn't have put the pieces of the why
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
And now I understand the why.
Yeah. And to me, the tears that you feel and that come up for you when you're talking
Yeah.
about that girl, those are tears of compassion because
Yes.
you feel deeply empathic for that girl, that version of yourself. You can be right there with her even in this moment.
Oh yeah. And I'm so proud that she made it out, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
She's a survivor.
Yeah, she's a fighter.
Yeah, she's a fighter. And other women and their stories helped her in the fight.
Oh my God, I feel so grateful. Like Marianne Williamson's writing helped me. I read A Return to Love for the first time. I read Bell Hooks for the first time. I dove deep into women's stories. And I was so grateful for their honesty. I actually think it's why I speak so honest now. I like really don't, I change people's names because I don't want to hurt them, but I don't ever cover stuff up or like put frills on it because that wouldn't have helped me.
Yeah.
Now, can I ask you a hard question?
Yeah.
Will you be honest with me?
I will.
Do you think that there are elements based on what I shared? Do you think there are elements that I'm overlooking or making less complicated or like not facing up to within this friendship repair?
I do.
Okay.
The piece that sticks out to me, that I'd like you to consider is you're feeling that you don't know the whole truth about what happened.
Say more.
Well, it seems that you've been able to forgive and repair with a willingness or an acceptance that you don't know the full story. Now, if you feel like no matter what the full story entailed, you could be okay with it and you would still be in this space, then okay. But it makes me wonder if there's a part of you that needs to be willfully ignorant of the whole story in order to maintain the friendship.
That is very interesting. I have to think about that.
Yeah.
And I think maybe I haven't revisited this story in a while, and I'm thinking maybe I'm ready to have that conversation with her.
And the fact that you still have a relationship with her makes
Yeah.
that possible.
Exactly.
One thing I often ask people at the end of this podcast is, if you could talk to this person right now, what would you say? And so many people know the answer to that, but they don't have the opportunity. And you really do.
Yeah. So interesting you say that. What it makes me think about is that relationship with that guy. At one point, he didn't. It was so terrible, and at the end, it was terrible. And he ultimately sort of like came back, and we had like a 2-week revival. And I had changed, and everything about that experience was so healing because I got the opportunity to see who he was and who I was in this new era. And my therapist said to me, because she knew how much pain I had been in over the last 2 years in that breakup, and she said, "You're so lucky. Most people never get an opportunity to revisit and see it through new eyes. Like it's just sort of getting over it and becoming the new version of you, which is all fine." So yeah, I do feel like that idea of having like an opportunity to revisit can be so healing.
Yeah. Well, Danielle, you bring such authenticity to your work
Thank
and
you.
your capacity to hold multiple perspectives to view people with compassion is an incredible strength. And thank you for doing that today on Kissing Frogs. Your story is so impactful. I know it's impacted me, and I know that you're going to be helping so many people who are listening today. So thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for your beautiful questions. And I could tell as I was sharing, there was no judgment, which is a gift to so many, not just me. So thank you.
That's a huge compliment from the Queen of Questions. I'm Dr. Molly Burritts. This is Kissing Frogs, and that's our time for today. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of Kissing Frogs with Dr. Molly Burritts. I want to hear your thoughts on it, especially if you loved it. So please leave a comment on Spotify or rate and review the show on Apple. Don't forget to subscribe while you're there. And if you think that a friend would enjoy this podcast, please share the episode with them. That's the absolute best way to help the show grow. You can find me on socials at Dr. Molly Burritts. That's DrMollybUrrets. See you next time.